Okay. What's up, YouTube? Okay, so today we're gonna come to you with a video on upgrading the lights on this thing. Want to tell us what we're doing?
So you're gonna get a rundown of the headlights replacements, and we've already done the floodlights and the switchback replacements, so we'll give you a quick rundown of that. This guy's gonna do it because he wants to do it on the passenger side, and that side is kind of a, what's the nice word for it?
It's a pain. There's a plastic molding that I'm gonna show you how to take off and everything, so that way if you're doing it, then you'll be good to go and won't be confused.
I just confuse easy, so I'm gonna let him do it. Or maybe just make him feel important. I don't know what it is, but anyway, here we go.
All right. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna do the fog lights. There are two different fog lights. There's one for the Z71 and then there's one for the Bison. It's a different bulb. I'll have to show a link to that later. We did this upgrade already, but we lost most of the video, and some of the video that we had was terrible audio and video quality, so we're redoing it. So this is gonna be real quick. I'm gonna show you how to take it apart, how to get to it, and then the installation is pretty simple once you get there. It's just simply you disconnect the bulb and then you reinstall the new bulb, and then you secure the LED resistor somewhere so it's not banging around. So without further ado, we're gonna get right to it.
Okay, so at this point, he's taken out there are 6 T15 bolts. He's gonna point those out to you guys real quick.
2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. There's some that go right across here. You want to leave those in place.
And then there's one 10 mil bolt over there. It's right up next to the sway bar, right there up against the frame on the other side of the tire.
And you want to pull it out. It works best if you have a ratchet wrench. If not, just an open end wrench or whatever will do it. The reason why you want to do a ratchet wrench, because you can't get a socket on there. There's a little piece of metal that sticks out.
So you said not to touch the other T15 bolts. What's your purpose for that?
So good question. These T15 bolts that are here, they kind of have another plastic piece on the back side that sandwich the fender liner. And if you take those out, that little plastic piece falls off, and then you lose your fender well liner or whatever. It comes out of that little clamp, and it's a pain in the butt to get back together. So save yourself some time. Leave those guys alone if all you're doing is the fog lights.
So you won't hurt anything. It's just saving yourself. Yeah. Okay.
It's a pain.
Got it. All right.
So once you get these 6 bolts out, the T15 bolts out and the 110 mil out, this whole plastic housing right here becomes loose, as you can see. And what I do, there's a hole in the bottom. I stick my finger in there, kind of push it back, and then start prying down. Once you do this, it gives you access right here to the back of the fog light. And like Miss Brenda said earlier, we already did this upgrade, but we lost the video footage and it didn't turn out very well and all that good stuff. So we're just kind of redoing it to show you. But once you get to the plug here, it's simple. Unplug the headlight or the fog light, plug the new one in, clip it together, make sure you hear the click, and then it has a little resistor, and you'll want to zip tie that to the bumper so that way it's not banging around going down the road. There are 2 different fog lights, so if you have the Z71, it will not work on the Bison. So make sure, and I'll have to send you a link, or I'll put in the comments in below the correct one for the Bison, and then there's also one for the Z71s.
The rest of it's just putting it back together and getting those bolts back in. So we'll be back in just a minute.
Okay, so this part, the passenger side, is the harder side to get to the headlights and the blinkers. But right now what we're gonna do, we've already installed our blinkers, and it's the switchbacks along with the LED resistors. And the resistors, when you put them in place properly, it keeps the vehicle from having the hyper flash that takes place, which is when you hit the blinker, it blinks real fast. And what that is it's the vehicle sensing that there's a light that's out, and that's just to let you know. But the LED resistor will replace, or it will fix that problem. So the passenger side is the hardest one to get to because you've got this giant piece of plastic in the way. Driver's side is easy to get to. You got access to everything in the back. So we're going to talk about the steps of how to get this off real quick, and then later once we finish up this side, we'll just kind of show you a picture on the back side of that.
So we're gonna get this plastic piece off. He's gonna have to take off one T20 bolt, and then there are 6 clips over here.
I'm joking, already pulled that bolt out. And then, so I've got some tools laid out here. These are not stuff that you absolutely have to have, but it makes it easier. You got a trim removal tool, which will work better on the bigger ones down in the bottom. Flat tip screwdriver, works great. And then you have a pair of side cutters. My favorite tool for removing these in the engine compartment is a flat tip screwdriver that I bent the tip over on, and I'll show you why. We'll come to the GoPro and it'll highlight it a little bit better. So if you see on the side here, on 2 sides, you've got an indentation here that allows you to get the screwdriver up underneath it. Let me see if I can get a little bit more light real quick. Right there. Okay.
Here, you got it?
Yeah. So get the screwdriver underneath it right there like that. You lift it up, and then once you do that, then you can get underneath the bottom of it and kind of lift, and then it comes out just like that. Make sure you keep the plastic part with it, otherwise if you lose it, then all this stuff won't go back together. Okay, we'll be right back in a second. All right, so we already pulled this little cover off. All that was holding it on was that one T20 and then the plastic rivet here. And then coming over here on the inside, try and get a picture of it. I've got a zip tie here that I'm gonna cut, zip tie here that I'm gonna cut. There's a big plastic rivet down here that I'm gonna pull out. There was a small one right here that I had to get to. And then there's another big one down here below the horn. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut this stuff off and be working on getting those plastic rivets out, and while Miss Brenda gives you a little bit of information about some stuff. Basically what the stuff is going over. Did I get this thing turned off? Man, me and electronics. Okay, so we'll let her go over some stuff that we were privy to on some information.
So we've gotten all of our lights from a company called Diode Dynamics. The reason we had already done the blinkers and the fog lights, and it's taken us this long to come from that to the headlights, is the company that we get them from, Diode Dynamics, again, it's just the fact, according to James from Diode Dynamics, he's a service representative. By the way, awesome guy. Every time we've been in contact with him, he's gotten right back with us very quickly with really good information. So he says that they're just a humble company. They're located just northwest of St. Louis. About 45 people altogether make up the entire company, from the whole workforce, top to bottom. They don't rely too heavily on automation. So meeting the demand for the SL1s and the SLFs. The SL1s are the headlights and the SLFs are the fog lights. So he says it's a good problem to have, but nonetheless, you know, they try to keep customers happy and do things in a timely manner. So with all of that, they're trying to resolve those issues, but unfortunately it does lead to some longer than desirable lead times. They are hoping that everyone is patient with them. They appreciate their customers, they appreciate the patience, and they look forward to servicing any and all of us. And feel free to ask any questions you might have or for an update at any time, and we will put his information, his contact information in the video or in a comment under the link.
Right, and so we got hooked up with him because during this process we found out, like I mentioned just a little bit ago, about the fog lights. This vehicle's so new with all the stuff that it has as compared to the other vehicles, or the Z71s and everything, that they didn't know that it was a different fog light bulb that went into the housing. And so when we got the first set of fog lights, we were all excited. We came outside and we're hooking it up and we're doing the video and having a good time. And then shortly after we got access to the bulb, we found out, oh crap, we got the wrong one. So we made a little phone call and had a little conversation and found out what was going on. and James was able to hook us up and send us the correct bulb out with little to no issue at all. In fact, there was no issue. It just about 3 or 4 days. I think he even put an expedited shipping on it. So I took this out, and what it does is it opens up the whole backside to the headlight housing, so that way you can get to everything real easy. And give me just a second and we'll swap over to the GoPro, and I'll show you what we're talking about here, and then we'll talk a little more in depth about the blinkers. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and install the headlights. If you see right here, I made a mark there, and then there's another mark up here. What I did is I twisted it just to see what was that. The reason why I did that is because I struggle with trying to get the seals and everything to line up properly. So it just made it easier for reinstallation. So get there, pull that guy out just like that. From there, you've got the headlight that's there. It's a quarter turn counterclockwise. It comes out. Then on the back of the wire, there's a little clip that you press down and then you pull out. If you can see where my thumb's at right there, you just push right there and then the bulb pulls straight out. Do not touch the bulb with your fingers. If you do, then you'll run the risk of having them go out sooner than they should. And I always hold on to the old bulbs just in case something happens with my replacements. I always have a spare laying around. The new bulb will just go in the same way that the old one came out. It goes, gotta find a little hole to line it up. And then quarter turn, and it seats into place. On the plug housing, if you look, there's a plus and then there's a minus. Okay, so these can go in 2 different ways. And what we're gonna do first is we're gonna plug it up just like that. Hear it click, and then I'm gonna go turn on the light to see if it comes on.
It's on.
And it did not come on.
Oh, it looked like it did.
So what we're gonna do is we're going to unplug it. Easier said than done. These little guys are tight. There we go. Rotate the plug 180 degrees and then plug it back up. And then at that point, the light did come on and you can hear the fan spinning, the cooling fan. And what we're gonna try and do here is I'm gonna try and slide this wire inside the headlight housing, just like this. And then this, the cap, should go right back on. And this is where my marks come in handy. Boom. And then that's it. And then if you come around here, you can see a huge difference in the light. See the GoPro, mama. Huge difference in the color of the light output. It's a nice crystal clear look. Okay, be right back and we'll talk about the switchbacks. All right, so this is like take 15. We've got a dog that decides that she wants to come eat right next to us while we're trying to do this. Anyways, so what we're gonna do, or we're gonna talk about next, because we've already installed the switchbacks, is the switchbacks themselves. Simple process, you plug them into the housing, turn them on. If they do not come on, then you have to unplug it and then rotate the plug 180 degrees to get them to come on. They're polarity specific.
So if you're like me and you aren't all that privy to all of these different terms and lingo, what are the switchbacks?
Okay, the switchback is a light that has 2 different LEDs inside of there. If you look here, you've got some amber ones and then you have some yellow looking ones, and the yellow LEDs are actually white LEDs. And so the switchback, what it does is whenever you turn on your running lights or whatever like that, they come on a bright white, and then when you hit your turn signal, it shuts off the amber color or shuts off the white color and goes to the amber for your turn signal flashing only. Then when you turn off the turn signal, the white light comes back on. Just looks really cool. I really like the way that it looks. It dresses up the front of the vehicle a lot. The next thing, once you get the switchbacks installed, you've got to have resistor, or I say you got to, in just about every vehicle that I know of, you have to install LED resistors because LEDs draw so little power that the vehicle thinks that the bulb is out, and that causes what's called the hyperflash, to where when you turn on your blinker, it flashes really fast on the dash. And that was built into the vehicles to let a driver know that when they have a bulb that's out, so that it's a little bit easier than getting pulled over by a police officer. So on their Diode Dynamics package, they have a diagram of how to install the LED resistor. Super simple. You just get in here. I used a test light, turned on the blinker, and found which one was my hot wire and then which one was my ground wire. In the video, I'll post a picture and it'll show what it is. Just pay attention to what side the clip's on and where the wire's going and everything. Once we got that hooked up and the resistor was put in, then I took the wire loom and I was able to get it back around it and was able to tie it up real good. And so here's the resistor. As you can see, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zip tie it up to the other wires to keep it from banging around. Once we do all of that, then we'll put this plastic housing back on, and then we'll show you what the finished product looks like. To get these pieces back in, just simply put them in place, and you'll take the plastic rivets and just push them back down until they click. Trying to work it around the horn housing. And it drops right into place. Put them over here so that way I wouldn't lose them. And I was lying earlier, there's only one of the big ones. This little tab here actually goes underneath this side, so when you're putting it on, make sure that you do that. Otherwise, you'll be taking it off for a second time, like somebody I know.
Wait a minute, you're not talking about me.
Nope, that would be me. So to get these guys back in, just make sure that the top is pulled out. Insert it into the hole. I'm trying to do it so that way y'all can see. You don't need a tool or anything. I'm just doing it like this so that way you can see without my big fat finger in there. Once you get this base seated all the way in, then you just push the top just like that, and it locks it into place. Okay, forgot to mention one thing here. We've got the radiator overflow hose that we'd cut the zip ties on. As long as you cut the zip ties and you don't mess with that little plastic rivet that holds them in there, you can get a new zip tie, slide it through, and reconnect it, and it'll be just the way it's supposed to be. And just like that, it is done. And then you cut it off flush. Love these little guys. All right, so that's the install of the headlights, the turn signals, and the fog lights on the Bison. We got everything from Diode Dynamics, great company. Miss Brenda, she talked about them a little bit earlier, so good people to know and work with.
Good small company. But I noticed, if you're like me, you noticed, he was talking about him installing those switchbacks. They were already installed, but he was showing you a brand new set of switchbacks.
So what happened is whenever I ordered the switchbacks for this truck, I ordered 2 pair. I contacted them. I thought they gave me an extra pair just out of the kindness of their heart, and I was thinking, oh, that's cool, you know, and they were like, nope, you paid for them. So anyways, we got to talk and we decided that we're just going to do a giveaway.
Yep, so his oops can be your yay. So here's how you do that. Like, share the video, click subscribe on the page, and comment done, and then what?
And then, so once we get 1,000 views on this video, we're We're going to take everybody's name they posted done in the comments below. We're going to put it into the computer, and we're going to do a generated scramble thing, whatever it's called, and whoever wins that wins it. And we're going to record it all, and we're going to try and do it live or however you do it. And all of this information will be in the comments below once we get more of the details worked out. But you got to comment below and subscribe to the channel.
Hit like and share the video. That's it. Good luck. We'll see you next time.